Hello and welcome to Business Spotlights, where today I'm joined by Saffron Grant and Gail McEwen. Saffron is the founder of Setting Out for Construction and Gail is currently the director. Ladies, thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Hi.
Okay. So I guess, just so we can get right into it, what is it you guys do? What service do you provide to other businesses?
So the Setting Out for Construction primarily is we're a private training organisation specialising in providing training courses aimed at site engineers. Mm-hmm. So the most popular course that we have is a 5-day Setting Out course, which comprises actually of two separate courses, levelling being one of them, which is the first 2 days, and then the total station. So that was the foundation of the business, and then over the years we've expanded on that. So we now offer other courses, again still aimed at site engineers, in terms of software, so things like 3D modelling and mapping software, CAD, machine control, GPS, so all the skills that a site engineer in today's modern construction industry should have. We've got specially designed courses for them.
Okay. And so I guess, take us back to the start then. And Saffron, I don't know if this is more appropriate for you. What made you start this? Why did you start this? Did you see that there was a service need in the area, or what was it?
Yeah, so basically, when I was a young site engineer, I went up to work down in England, and it's kind of standard down there to put graduate engineers through a Setting Out course like that. But I noticed in Scotland that they didn't have the same provision, and there was more of an assumption that graduates should have those skills when they come out of university. But the reality is that they don't. You just get a few hours practice with the practical side of it in uni. And knowing that the kind of pressure that a site engineer is under, I basically thought there's an opening there for me to set up a business in Scotland with the aim of giving site engineers the skills that they need and taking away an element of stress.
And so do you finish your education down in England, Saffron, and then came up here and discovered that?
Yes. Yeah, basically I studied, I'm from England, I studied in Coventry, and then I came up here to work in Scotland, but then worked down in England from living in Scotland, and then it was after that I decided to set up a business in Scotland, offering that.
And how many years ago was that, if you don't mind me asking?
15 years ago, that is now. 15
wow.
Years ago, yeah.
A long time. And then what's happened recently with Gail taking over then? What's the dynamic now?
So basically I've got another side of the business as well, and have several other things going on, and the idea is that I've moved on to that now, and Gail, who started with us, is it 4 years ago now, 3 years ago, 4, I think
2019.
That's right, is more than capable of taking the business forward, because Gail's the one coming to me with ideas saying, why don't we do this and why don't we do that? So I've got, I said, well, you should be the one leading the business and driving it instead of me.
And how's that feeling then, Gail?
It was a big responsibility. Saffron's put a lot of work into this company for a long time. And it was actually Saffron that trained me when I first started as a site engineer. I was on one of our very first courses, I think, that she had done. And I remember sitting in the class at the time and, watching her teaching, and then just to be in the position now where I'm, it's working with her. And then also, running the side of Setting Out for Construction. It's a bit surreal sometimes, to be honest. But Saffron she's everybody in the construction industry knows her. Everybody knows Saffron. If you mention her name, oh yeah, I know Saffron. So yeah, she's a fountain. She's like the oracle, if you want to call her that, in construction. So it has been really surreal getting to work with her.
Yeah, legend in your own lifetime, Saffron. How does that feel?
I just feel it might be that I just get into everything, and I don't know if that's always a good thing.
So what's the future direction for the business then? Where do you see it going in the next 5 years? I don't know what changes in the industry might be impacting you. What's the direction of travel?
Well, at the moment, the start of the year, just the turn of the year there, we've just launched a brand new, we call it a membership service. Mm-hmm. And it was really on the back of some of the insights that we've gained over the years of running the training courses. That a lot of the pain points that we're seeing that not just site engineers, but loads of people in construction are struggling with, and the construction industry is just absolutely riddled with problems. The list's endless. So we've always been quite proactive in the approach to say, well, what can we do, and how can we play a part in trying to resolve some of these issues? So this is where the idea transpired of launching a membership service to give engineers background support. So the idea behind that is there's different levels of membership, but even the basic level, they get access to a whole load of resources. So it's things like e-learning modules, blogs, jobs pages, coaching calls, that sort of thing. So it's all there, the resources are at people's fingertips. But there is also another type of membership that you can get where you get one-to-one support every month. So that's you can do that. So the idea behind that is that a site engineer, for example, on site, is stuck with something, they're not sure how to do something, or they're a bit hesitant in doing it, or for whatever reason, they can lift the phone or drop us an email or jump on Zoom or Teams or whatever, and they can get that support from experienced engineers until they're self-sufficient. The idea is we don't want people to depend on us forever. We want to make them self-sufficient. So that's what we've been doing this year. But for the next 5 years of the company, I'd really like to see that expanded. Mm-hmm. I know for me personally, when I was starting out as an engineer, I would have done anything to have a service like that. The stress that I felt sitting on site was horrendous. Mm-hmm. And it would have been great just to have been able to pick up the phone to someone. So yes, we want to go down that route and also concentrate a bit on the skill shortage within the construction industry and see how we can alleviate the issues there.
Sounds like you've got big plans. So it sounds like it's a kind of bolt-on service for existing companies to almost upskill their engineers and acting as a support for their engineers. Is that fair?
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And so it almost be like a retained service month on month that business owners could buy into to support their organisation. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
so what kind of size of companies is it ideal for you? Is it the smaller size companies or the larger? How does it work?
All types. You could go from micro organisations to tier 1. There's room for absolutely everyone in that spectrum. So, the needs would be different, I think. Not different, that's maybe not the right word, but maybe varying, I suppose, because, tier 1 organisations might have a bit more resource to support their engineers a bit better than what I say, like, a micro or an SME might have. But at the end of the day, everyone that is in the job that we specialise in, it tends to be the same issues that they encounter. So
right. Okay. And those issues, those needs, are those arising because it's such a complex area to work in, or are they arising because the industry's changing and there's new problems coming up, or because the education's maybe not as thorough as it needs to be? What would be the reason for those arising?
The list is endless. It can be a case of the Saffron touched on that earlier, that there's a bit of a catch-22 situation where employers are, they feel that graduate site engineers should be the finished product, with the minute they step foot on a site. And universities on the flip side are saying, no, their job is different. They're not about training and getting them to do their job. They're there for a different purpose. So there's that. There's a lack of understanding. There's really, really embedded problems in the construction industry that causes mental health issues, stress problems, really, really severe and quite serious issues, I would say, that is still very much present in the construction industry, which, there's conflicting, bits of literature out there that'll say the construction industry is changing, and arguably it is, but there's those that would disagree with that. and of course the skills, the time, the resource, the productivity that fall off the back of a lot of these issues that stops people, and not just site engineers, or anybody in the construction industry, getting the training that they really need.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a wide range of problems. I could sit here all day and go on about them.
Yeah, okay. And you know, forgive my ignorance, but I would imagine historically construction's a male-dominated field, or has been. What's the mix of females that you're seeing coming into that environment now?
I would say still, from what we're seeing with our training delegates, it's still, I would, very much still male, that are males that are coming through. Proportionally, I would maybe say we would maybe get one female on a training course of 10, so you can maybe say about 1 in 10. I don't know, Saffron, what would you say from when
I don't know, I'd say it's probably 1 in 20 or 30, to be honest. And that's in the engineering side of things. And I know in the trade side of things, you're looking at 2% women, 1.5 to 2% women.
And do you see that changing? Are there more women coming through?
Well, there's been a lot, there's a lot of talk and a lot of work done, but basically the dial has hardly shifted in the last, probably in the last 20 years since I graduated, 25 years. If you took the whole built environment, included kind of the design side of things and the office-based things, it's probably, I think the statistics is like 15% or something. Yeah. But again, it's not much change since 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think it's not changing? Because I would, probably most other industries are, I would think.
Well, like Gail says, it's a really deep-seated problem, so that you can look at all the surface level things like going into schools, raising awareness about that construction as a career. But actually, my own personal view is that it's a societal problem, and it's from the second that a child is born, girls and boys are treated differently and they're conditioned differently. So even when you go into primary schools to try and raise awareness of construction as a career, you're already too late. It's not just construction, it's not just engineering. It's a problem with the education system, and it's a problem with conditioning and just society, basically. Yeah. And I guess there must be a lot of skills that get missed out on because of that, because there's the gender imbalance. Yeah. So what kind of bumps in the road did you have setting the company up, or, apart from the obvious bump that we've all had in the last couple of years, what else has maybe been problematic in setting up the company and growing the company? I think that is one of the main problems, is that when things get a bit hairy in the construction industry, training is one of the first things to be cut back. So back in 2008, we had months of training booked up, and it was, everything was all fine. And then within days, it was just all cancelled because all the engineers were on redundancy notice. Even with COVID, we started to see it a bit then. Our training would be classed as non-essential training, so you don't legally have to have this training. So it's almost a nice to have. Yeah. Even though we obviously see that we know the benefits of it, and that by cutting back on it is actually costing more in the long run. So yeah, it's probably just that's one of the main things. Also, finding and recruiting trainers is really difficult because it is such a specialist thing, and to have the kind of level of perfection that we want to go for and consistency. One of the problems in the industry is that there's a lot of people are self-taught in this subject, but what we teach is not about getting the right answer necessarily. It's about following best practice, keeping all the correct records, and being very methodical and systemized about it. But usually if somebody's got even 10-15 years experience, they might have the ability to do it themselves, but they haven't necessarily got the same background that we are wanting to teach, as if you were the blank canvas. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite tricky to find trainers who have that skill and are willing to step away from kind of coal face of the industry.
Yeah, I guess that's where you keep a keen eye on students coming through some of your courses to see where their career paths take them.
Yeah, and again, like, you know, me and Gail always say we'd never have somebody teaching this course who hadn't done it themselves, you know, as a job. So it's got to be someone with experience and who's got the right approach and the best practice. So yeah, it's great. That's probably one of the biggest challenges.
And how easy or hard is it to get the word out about what you do in the construction industry? Is it really well known that you exist and you're there as a support, or is there still more room to grow?
Let you answer that one, Gail.
I'd say in Scotland, and this is from personal experience from working in the industry, like I say, everyone knows who Saffron is.
Right.
You know, everybody knows her name. She's also written an amazing book as well. It's Setting Out for Construction, a Practical Guide to Site Surveying, and the book itself has flown off the shelves. It was Amazon's best-selling book in surveying and setting out, and the feedback she's had on it's been phenomenal. So that's been a really good way to get the word out about the business. But she's had the business for 15 years, and you know, she has, as I say, poured her heart and soul into it, and she'd done a lot of marketing at her time over that time. And I would say most businesses in Scotland anyway, particularly SME, medium-sized businesses, know exactly who she is and what her company does. And you know, the word of mouth has travelled, but it's not just in Scotland, it's also in England as well. You know, before I worked with her, she's done a lot of work with a lot of tier 1 contractors down south.
Yep.
But I would say that's where, you correct me if I'm wrong, Saffron, but I think that this is where Saffron's clientele has come from, is a lot of the good work that she's done in word of mouth.
Yeah. Well, I would say we get a repeat business from the kind of the larger companies, but it's the challenge is getting it to smaller companies who don't even know that setting out training is a thing, and they don't even know that they're not even. It's like that there isn't even a level of awareness of the amount of money that's being wasted, and you know, with errors, and that you can actually solve this problem with training. I think there's an acceptance that it's just something that's going to go wrong and something. But if you could reach the smaller companies and say, do you know that you don't have to put up with this, and do you know that you don't have to pay, you know, X amount for a freelance engineer who's maybe will not turn up or is not going to do a good job. You could train one of your own people. You could give someone in your own company the right skills so that you're not dependent and you're not as fragile. So yeah, we do get a lot of repeat business, but I still think there's a lot of work to be done on reaching companies who aren't aware that you can actually plug that gap with just some training, and you know, the right guidance. And you know, I'm not saying within, you know, in 5 days you can just magically create an engineer and they're all ready to go, but you can instill good practice in people, engineers who might not necessarily already be using it. They might have muddled through. So yeah.
And the fact that, you know, you're looking for companies that want to support their team. You know, like you guys, I work with businesses, and it's, you know, businesses are a bunch of people, and they can only perform to the level to which they've been trained and supported over time. And I often say, if you're not putting them through training regularly, it's a bit like having the fanciest laptop ever. Over time, if you're not doing the system upgrades and reboots, then it's going to get slower, and it's going to fail. But I guess it's, you know, that's what you guys are doing. You're just trying to provide the best in time training for the engineers that are out there. Is that fair?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, look, hopefully there are some smaller businesses that are listening to this and can maybe get in touch. So you're easily found on LinkedIn. Is that the best place to find you guys?
Yeah.
And when this goes out, I'm going to make sure the link to your book's there as well, Saffron, so people can at least click on that. But should they just get in touch for a chat to find out a bit more about your training courses and what support you provide?
It's definitely 100% the best way. You could send emails back and forth, but you know, to even you know, just give us a call and we'll be able to, you know, ask a few questions and, you know, instantly be able to just direct you to the right, you know, to how we can help you.
Yeah. And is there anyone specific that you would be wanting to talking to right now, or is it just in general in the engineering world?
Basically any construction companies who are actually physically building anything, you know, and needing to set it out and mark it out, then, you know, we could definitely help them. Even, you know, we also do, I don't know if you mentioned, Gail, we do drone training and
right, okay.
laser scanning training. So anyone in civil engineering, construction, retrofit, buildings, housing, water, rail, infrastructure, basically any kind of construction.
Sounds like you've got a big market to go after, and it sounds like you guys are among the best in the business with a lot of experience between you both. So look, thanks for joining us today on Business Spotlight, and I wish you both well. And yeah, if you're in construction or any of those things that Saffron mentioned, then get in touch with these guys and have a chat. Sounds like they'd be able to help. Thank you, guys. See you again.
Thanks, Yvonne.
Thanks, Yvonne. Thank you.